Colic affects up to 1 in 4 newborn babies. It's nothing new. If you're a parent with a colicky baby, you've probably heard it a dozen times. Don't worry, they'll grow out of it. But what if that well meaning advice is actually preventing your child from getting the help they need? What if your baby's constant crying, arching back, and sleepless nights aren't just something to endure, but rather their body trying to tell you something important about their nervous system? The truth is, babies don't simply grow out of colic. And today we're going to explain why this matters so much for your child's long-term health and development. This video is for exhausted parents of colicky babies who tried everything, from the diet changes to the probiotics to eliminating certain foods, dairy, eggs to colic drops, but you still haven't found that lasting relief for your little one's distress. We're going to dive deep into the connection between birth trauma, nervous system dysfunction, and colic, and why addressing these root causes early can prevent years of chronic health challenges for your child. But first, let me tell you about baby Bindi. Before finding neurologically focused chiropractic care, Bindi struggled with severe colic, reflux, and difficulty sleeping. She would cry nonstop during car rides, was constantly irritable, and showed classic signs of distress like stiffening and arching of her back. Her mom felt completely overwhelmed and helpless. But here's where it gets interesting. After beginning consistent care that focused on her nervous system, everything changed. And this is what mom reports. She is content in the car and sleeps like an infant should. Her colic is long gone. She is such a happy baby and is now progressing and growing into more developmental motor milestones that would have never happened before. She's a completely different baby, and we are so very grateful. And that's the story for many other families who walk through our doors when their child presents with colic. So let's get into the real science behind the real root cause of colic. Colic isn't just about digestive discomfort. It's a sign of deeper neurological stress and dysfunction that starts very early in life. When a baby arches their back and stiffens their neck during these crying episodes, they're actually showing us the signs of neurospinal tension and nervous system stress. Now, this stress typically begins during those early stages of life, during pregnancy or birth, and especially with interventions in labor and delivery like C-sections, forceps, or vacuum extraction. But how can this be related to colic? It's really that physical aspect of these interventions during birth that can create significant pressure on an infant's delicate upper neck and brainstem area. And the reason this is important is because this area houses something called the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is the master control of sleep, digestion, immune regulation, emotional regulation, and function. When there's trauma in this area, when birth creates this tension, this misalignment, something we call subluxation, it disrupts that normal vagus nerve function. It disrupts sleep. It disrupts immune function. It disrupts digestion and overall regulation. But let's now clarify the reason why babies don't just grow out of colic. The same neurological dysfunction causing colic also affects other crucial developmental processes. And this is why we say they don't just grow out of colic, but grow into other challenges. Without proper care, colicky babies often progress to having reoccurring ear infections, respiratory issues, sensory processing challenges, sleep difficulties, digestive problems, and emotional regulation struggles. There's a lot of things, and it's the same nervous system. The same nervous system grows and develops based on its perception of its environment and its day-to-day life experiences. And if that perception is stress and its day-to-day experiences are stressful, the direction and quality of that development can be impacted. Now, you've probably heard of the word neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to form connections. It's how we remember things. It's how our nervous system learns, coordinates, performs tasks, movements. It does neuro tricks, like when you do pinky thumb. Like, try doing that. And the more you do it, the better you get. The more we do things, the better we get. And the more that pathway is fired with with neurology in general, the stronger that neurological connection becomes. And in the case of colic, if a child's nervous system is already dysregulated from subluxation, from a tough pregnancy, from birth trauma, antibiotics, whatever it is, the more stress keeps that child's nervous system stuck in stress mode. Fight or flight, sympathetic escape, protection mode. The point being, they're spending less time in rest and digest mode, less time in growth and development mode. So no wonder they can't calm themselves and rest. No wonder their milestones might be pushed down the road or skipped altogether. No wonder they're fussy, digestion's a mess, and their immune system sucks. And then to make matters worse, conventional medicine's route is to give them yet another round of antibiotics or another medication, which can further disrupt the gut-brain connection, creating a cycle of chronic health challenges. Yes, there's a time and a place for those things, and thank God we have those options when we need them. But if we don't support the system and address the underlying cause of colic, of a kiddo who's living with a dysregulated nervous system, we're spraying out the fire when it comes, but wondering why the house is in shambles when we're not addressing the conditions that brought about the fire in the first place. We need a different approach. Traditional colic care plans that focus only on digestion and symptomatology often fall short. And that's because the role of the nervous system, how the nervous system regulates your child's system, how it regulates colic, your baby's digestive system, it's completely controlled by their autonomic nervous system, by that side of the nervous system, whether it's in fight or flight, rest and digest. When a child's nervous system is stuck in sympathetic dominance, that fight or flight stress mode, from subluxation, from birth trauma, it directly impacts their ability to digest, to have good motility, their sleep patterns, their immune function, overall comfort, contentment. The list goes on and on. This is the problem, and we have a solution. If it's a nervous system issue, if subluxation, that stuck tone and tension and stress on the nervous system, is what keeps a child's nervous system dysregulated, is what keeps them colicky, constipated, sensory overwhelm, whatever it is, then let's start there. So let's jump into that. How do we find that? How do we find neurological stress on a newborn here at our office at Reissing Health? We run what are called nervous system scans, HRV and thermography specifically for infants. These scans are just one of the tools that we have that shows us where your newborn's stress is within their brain and body. And what does that look like? We're going to jump into the iPad. This will be just a short glimpse of the more in-depth process that we run within our office, but really looking at and giving you an idea. These are actually Bindi's scans when she presented with colic, when she presented with reflux and challenges with sleep. And notice here in this scan, the neurothermal scan, how there is this extra stress, how there is so much more going on up top here. And this area specifically within the nervous system is where that vagus nerve comes out of, is where the brainstem is. If the vagus nerve, where air traffic control, has higher tone, higher tension, more inflammation, stucked stress, subluxation, all of this will influence the perception and therefore the function of a child's nervous system. This will irritate their system. It will exhaust their system. And that's the second part we look at is this HRV scan. This is really a bird's eye view of where their nervous system is at. It's looking at, is their system more in that sympathetic fight or flight state? Is it more in that calm, relaxed state? Or is it in a place of balance? What we want to see is that it's on this midline and as high as possible. And for Bindi, this is where it was. Not only in this more fight or flight state, but in this exhausted state as well. So not only is her nervous system being stressed out on the inside from higher stress, higher tone, from subluxation, all these other things, when she's presented with other things like dairy or eggs or being away from mom or any other quote unquote little stressor, she will be perceiving that as much more stressful because the system is already stuck. The system is already stressed out and exhausted. So let me wrap up this video with some good news. The good news is that we can help. The good news is that gentle, specific, neurologically focused chiropractic care can release that stucked, stored tension and restore proper nervous system function. And just like with baby Bindi, We see transformations every day in our office. Babies who go from constant crying to peaceful contentment, from sleepless nights to restful sleep, from digestive distress to comfortable feeding. And it's one of the most humbling and gratifying pieces of advice and feedback that we receive when a mom tells us she has a new baby. When a mom tells us he's a completely different kiddo. So if you're tired of being told, wait it out while you're watching your baby struggle, it's time to try a different approach. At Reissing Health, we would love to help you and your baby find lasting relief through gentle, safe, and effective care that addresses the root cause of their discomfort. You can take the first step toward helping your baby find relief by scheduling a neurological insight scan with our team. If you want to learn more, you can visit the link in our bio or comment below to see how we can help your little one thrive and not just survive through these early months. Your baby's nervous system holds the key to their comfort and development. Let's help you to unlock it.